Hello and welcome to Things Musicians Don't Talk About, with your hosts Hattie Butterworth.
And me, Rebecca Toll.
Within our vibrant musical world, it can often feel that the struggles and humanity of the musicians is lost and restricted.
Having both dealt in silence with mental, physical and emotional issues, we are now looking for a way to voice musician stories, discuss them further, and to connect with the many others who suffer like we have.
The personal issues we may face with our mental health, performance injury, work pressure and finances can be overlooked as the airbrushed persona of musicians is sadly maintained.
So join me, Hattie and guests as we attempt to bring an end to stigma by uncovering the things musicians don't talk about. So welcome to our third Voices Radio show. It's crazy that we're on number 3 now.
I know, every month has gone very, very fast.
Yeah, so thank you for listening. Today we thought we'd start off with some Q&As from our lovely followers on Instagram and real life. I did accost my partner Stuart for some questions today, although he only gave me one. So
It's my favourite thing to listen to is Q&As.
yeah, I like them.
I don't know why, I find them really interesting.
That parasocial relationship, isn't
It is. It really
Yeah.
gets it tighter.
Tighter.
Yeah, get tighter involved.
Tighter involved.
Yeah.
That is good grammar. So, I'm going to ask you the first question.
Okay, then you have to pass your phone to me.
Oh, well, don't worry.
Oh,
Don't worry. What made you start the podcast, Hattie? Because you started it by yourself. I wasn't there at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah. So I was saying I feel like I'm asked this a fair bit, but that I should probably come up with a better answer than I normally give. Not that it's a bad answer.
It's a very good answer.
It's the truth, but at the same time, I feel like there are other things that I never mention about why I started it. And like the truth of it is, I'm finding it really hard to remember the thought process because it all happened in such a blurry time. And I wasn't very well when it started as well. So it's like, it's really strange to kind of like try and think back to that time and like, why did you start it? But I was very clear that I knew one person I wanted to interview who was Frank Horvat.
Yes.
And he was the only person I'd found online. I'm sure it wasn't true, but like from my research, he was the only musician I'd found who had like not only been open about his depression, but also used it for something creative or like used it as a positive influence and not felt like ashamed of it. He had like, so I knew I wanted to talk to him. So that was the first one I did was with him. And I just knew that I wanted people to be more open than they were being, basically. And maybe it was slightly selfish. Like I also had been having a lot of one-to-one conversations with people who had heard on the grapevine that I'd suffered with mental illness and they were maybe going through something. Yeah. So they'd be like, oh my God, hello, I've heard about your issues. I've got issues.
From where though?
So I'd written a blog. No, I did an interview with my friend Abby who had a blog about mental health problems, and most people on there used a pseudonym, so you didn't know who they were.
Oh wow.
But I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I was just in this phase of like, just use my name, babe. Yeah. It's fine. So I posted that to my Facebook and like the crowd went wild.
And they wanted more.
They wanted more of the depression. So that was the start of third year, I think. And then in third year, I also ran a half marathon in aid of help musicians. And for my fundraising, what was that, fourth year? Oh my God, that was fourth year. Sorry. So in fourth year, ran this marathon, half marathon. And part of my fundraising, like obviously you make a page. And on that page, I'd been very honest about the struggles I'd had, basically.
Was that the half marathon that we both unwittingly ran together before meeting each other?
Very weird.
Very weird.
Did you run for a charity or
just run with my dad?
Nice.
I guess family relationships can be a charity in themselves.
It's true. It strengthens it. So yeah, I was like, sure, I wanted to do that basically to give back for the grant they'd given me towards therapy and stuff like that. So like I had started talking about it, but you know, I was still dealing with a lot of issues, I think, like beneath the surface. So yeah, it definitely was just like quite as simple as I'd heard a few people talk. I also selfishly wanted to share my story just because I like talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it not only helps me, but like I really believe in the power of connection because other people have helped me with sharing their stories.
Yeah.
So anyway, very long.
That's not really selfish. I don't know. You sometimes say like, I selfishly wanted to share this, but in no instance is that something. I guess, yeah, if you're going into selfish as like a negative word, I wouldn't say that there's any situation in which sharing your story is selfish in that.
I think maybe
respect.
other people's reactions have sometimes made me feel like I'm being selfish. And that's kind of where that feeling comes from. And also from just an insecurity.
Yeah.
You know, like even if I do it in a pure-hearted way, and it's easy sometimes to do it from a selfish place. Like I'm sure you've posted on Instagram feeling like
kind of for self-validation.
Yeah, self-validation. It's not like I don't want pity. It's like I want some kind of validation.
Yeah, I want those people to be like, oh wow, like so great that you shared this. Or like kind of gives you a bit of like, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Or like the little clapping hands emojis or like the fire emojis. You're like, yeah.
So like I've definitely made mistakes in sharing.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's really important. I'd be interested to see what you think because a lot at the moment I'm coming across people who are very private and I'm not very private, or I am. I kind of want people to know there is a private side to me because I think a lot of people think that I share everything.
It's called Patreon. You've got to pay for the
You've got to pay for the real tea.
No.
But yeah, now I meet people and I want to get closer to people, and I often worry that they think that if they got close to me, then like they might not like how open I am about my life.
Bit like celebrities.
I don't know. Do people find that? Yeah, because I'm such a celeb.
Yeah.
But do people find that off-putting? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just worrying.
Yeah, I think there is always a sense of paranoia about being open in a world that doesn't always encourage that openness and vulnerability. And like you said in a recent Instagram post, that rawness, like that unfilteredness is not very conducive with the classical music industry especially. It's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah.
So that question was from Eleanor Obo. Probably not her real name.
That would be a sick surname.
What's that called? Nominative determinism. If your career ends up being something like Michael Crane, who works in construction. Or like,
oh, I love that.
I had a food tech teacher at school called Mrs. Curry. And we thought that was so funny in like year 5 or whatever.
We had a vicar called Elaine Goddard.
Wow. It was meant to be.
And then my dad knew a vicar. It's always about vicars.
Yeah.
My dad knew a vicar called Father Christmas. He still talks to Wendy Christmas, his wife.
Wendy Christmas.
Wendy Christmas, Mrs. Christmas.
I guess, yeah, if you had the surname Christmas, you'd be like, I've got to do it.
You've got to do it.
I've just got to do it. Okay, do you want to ask one of the next questions? So I've put it in my favourites album.
Love. Oh, I love this. What's been your favourite memory of TMDTA and your least favourite memory?
That's actually a really good question. I didn't know we had that one, even though I screenshotted them. My favourite memory of TMDTA. It's tricky because there are lots of facets to TMDTA. So I can think of like when we did that workshop, the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, that feels like a really fond memory. And it was like in that amazing building with these, musicians that we were just like, you're so cool, but yet,
It's also a lovely summer's day, wasn't it?
It was.
It was really like fun.
Pod outing and like, yeah.
And we met at a coffee shop beforehand to go through it, and that was really fun.
And I took the bus in, and there was just all these things. I'm like, that was such a satisfying and like wholesome, real world difference kind of feeling. So I guess there's that. But then in terms of like what we mostly do, which is recording and stuff, there have been so many lovely interviewing experiences. Like when we went to Raki Singh's house.
Oh yeah,
that was so lovely because it felt like, was that maybe our first interview when we'd gone into someone's space
Yeah.
in person, and I was really nervous about kind of asking them personal questions in their personal space, and also I'd driven there and I was a bit worried about parking and all these things, but it ended up being so inviting and so open, and she was great.
She's doing so incredibly
so
now.
amazingly.
Like, that's the same with quite a lot of the previous guests we've had.
Yeah.
Who, like, obviously they were always on a level.
Yeah.
Like, Manchester Collective has been, like, a big deal for a while. But now Raki on her own as well is, like, forging such an incredible path. And then obviously
because of our podcast.
Obviously. And then there's Elena as well.
Oh, yeah.
And
all
then
those people.
Aaron, who we're about to interview today.
Aaron.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Who's Aaron? Why did I say Aaron?
Don't know.
Do you know why? It's that Hamilton viral...
Aaron Burr.
Yeah.
Aaron Burr.
Excuse
Sir.
Me. Are you Aaron Burr, sir?
No, it's not Aaron.
Okay.
So,
His favourite memory, though, now?
I think my favourite memory was Nigel.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And then there have been lots of... The whole process has been really just amazing.
Yeah, but we want the negative tea.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give you negative tea. I think I'm trying to sift through, like... I mean, obviously there's, like, boring editing memories. But there's also been podcast interviews afterwards where I've been like, I feel like such a fool.
Yeah.
Or like,
oh, God, yeah. Definitely.
I feel like that didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, don't think I really want to name names, but there have been a couple that I've been like, either we shouldn't have asked them to be on the pod, or shouldn't have like replied to their email or whatever, or I should have done more research or just been more careful with my words, because I felt like I came across either really insensitive on some topics or just stupid. And it is easy when you're editing sometimes to kind of cut those bits out, but we try and keep some of it in just for kind of authenticity.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm going to fire that one back to you, because I'm interested in what your least favourite and most favourite memories are of TNCCA.
Yeah. I think my favourite memory... It's actually really hard, isn't it?
It's so hard.
I feel like I need to go back on Instagram.
Yeah.
And, like, I think... oh my gosh, what happened last summer?
To be fair, there was this one time where we got an email from a brand being like, do you want some sponsorship? And I was like, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that we didn't really gel with the brand's like ethics and like their website and stuff. So that was one of those moments where you thought you had like the best thing ever, and then the worst thing where you're like, oh, we're going to say no to like our only sponsorship offer.
That was scary. I really enjoyed after the Help Musicians event and meeting people that I've wanted to meet for so long. True. And like it's the same in my job now. Like, you can email someone as much as you want, but until you're in a room with them and you're like vibing with them on a personal level, and you're kind of like, something could come of this just because we know each other now, and it's, you know, you're not just a name anymore, you're more than that. And like, I think that's really important that we've been meeting as many people as possible, and like turning things from being just email based or just like blog based or words based, and turning it into like seeing how our personalities vibe or not, or you know. So I always kind of feel like that's probably a favourite memory, just because I really loved like the girls from ISM was so fun.
Oh, they were amazing.
And also Lucy Hayward, who met, like really vibe with her, love her so much. So
I just thought of another favourite memory.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
I was in the toilet once at St John Smith Square, and someone was like, you're from that podcast, aren't you? And I was like, okay, this is one of my favourite memories.
That's so cute. Also, Ellie's concert. I know that wasn't us, so her ensemble.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd hated it. I said it was her concert. But
well, it was a concert that she was very much involved in.
Yeah, that was really fun. That made me feel like... It was also like a big anxiety achievement for me, being out that late and like genuinely enjoying myself and not pretending. Yeah. You know, and leaving at a time where I felt I wanted to. Yeah. So yeah, that was really fun. And then anyway, negative memories.
In for the tea.
Been some emails that like, just not enjoyed.
Like what? Without like disclosing things
just
you don't
like,
want to disclose.
being really vulnerable in terms of explaining to someone our needs or whatever,
Yeah.
and then them coming back sort of saying, I don't know, I always get quite angry when someone says, we love your idea, but like, why are you asking us for support a little bit?
Yes, that's true.
It's always like a nasty memory, because I'm just like, how can you not see that this is the one thing that can't stop?
Yeah.
And I almost feel like sometimes we're really like pushed to the edge with it.
Yes.
And that really upsets me, because I'm like, you can tell us that you're grateful we're here, but it's actually quite
A lot for us.
a lot to do.
Yeah. And it takes a lot to ask for help and support in any area of life. And especially when it comes to like maybe financial support or help in those kind of ways. That is really hard to ask for when you've just kind of built your project from the ground up. So then to be told like, we don't think you really need it.
One more bad memory though is sometimes when my parents have listened to something or read something that I've written and taken it the wrong way, or like called me up.
Yeah.
And sort of
Same.
something I've said or something that was really authentic to me has like backfired.
Yeah.
And I really hate that so much. But at the same time, like, kind of sometimes feel like that needs to happen in order for them to understand me, or
you're kind of grateful it happens, but it's really not
terrible
nice.
memory.
Yeah.
So it's risks, isn't it? Like, really, there are some huge risks, but also it kind of has meant you can't hide anymore.
Yeah.
In some parts of your life. I think actually that's been completely the ending of negative hiding, things I shouldn't have been hiding.
Yes. So it's hard to know sometimes when to hide and when not to.
Hello, baby.
This is my cat.
Becca's cat
can't
come
see
to
her.
cuddle.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. She's wet. She's a wet cat.
She wants to speak into the microphone.
Meow.
If you could interview anyone, who would it be?
I hate these questions because I feel like I don't know enough cool names. And like,
Yeah.
I never have a good enough answer. It's like that dinner party one. Like, you don't want to be cliche and say like David Attenborough.
God, but I would interview him in a flash.
Yeah. Who would I interview? I mean, to be fair, Simon Rattle at the moment is saying some really like realistic things about the arts, and I wouldn't necessarily interview him, but like somebody of his caliber that's like in that powerful position where you can speak out and it's like actually quite a big deal that you're speaking out about stuff in like a real kind of not pessimistic but just real way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I don't know who that would be, and that's kind of what's hard to pinpoint, is like
it kind of, that question kind of sounds like it has to be someone famous.
Yeah, that's true.
But quite often mine are based on experiences. Like, I'm really excited to talk to Gavin Higgins about OCD.
Yes.
Because I know he wants to talk about it and so do I.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I know that'll be a really fulfilling conversation.
Yeah.
Regardless of, I guess, how famous someone is or like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I guess I want to talk to people that seem to have a lot of fame and don't use their platform to speak about stuff.
And ask them why.
Yeah, and ask them why.
Yeah.
Without being...
No, I'm the same. And it's like, how much is this your PR person telling you?
Yeah.
But the more I learn about PR, like, it is normally led by the artist.
Yeah.
And if they've said no go on personal life and no go on social issues, then that normally means that's led by them, you know? So yeah, that's a good point.
I would be interested in talking to Tina Ting-Helseth about like coming back from cancer.
I would really enjoy, not enjoy that, but like, I agree.
I think it would be so, especially something, you know, playing trumpet is so physical.
Same with Sophie Bevan, who's just had cancer as well.
Yeah. My question to you is, how do you balance the podcast with your other commitments?
So
I love this question because I can...
What is your cat doing? Can I just say? What is he trying to do a roly-poly? You little
Can she smell
squirmy rat. Maybe. I'm sorry I called you a rat. Didn't mean to. So I am finding it harder and harder, I'd say. But I think because I used to do quite a lot of pod stuff during my work hours because I had so much time during my work hours, and now I don't. So I kind of keep it for the weekend and a few evenings a week. And I think actually doing that so far has meant I'm more motivated to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like not my day job.
Yes.
So there's more of a divide, and so it's more kind of interesting. So I think I'll probably spend like an afternoon in the weekend doing stuff, and then maybe like a few evenings a week. And then, obviously sometimes pod things kind of take priority in the month, and sometimes they don't. So it's tough. Like, I think we also manage it by being honest and saying, this can't be like work.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I think so. And I think some people expect maybe that this is our work. Some people, who was it that asked you, is it full time the other day? Someone asked us, like, oh, is this what you do full time? And we're like, oh my God, no.
Literally, we are paying so much money to do this.
Yeah. So I think because of that, some people kind of assume that it has to have this like professionalism and intensity. But I think we've had to be honest recently with people and say, actually, no, it will be haphazard.
Yeah, we actually can't manage to do it.
But it can still work. You know?
Yeah, I think because we both had different lives and jobs and relationship and career, things like during the time on the pod, which has made it very difficult to find one way to do it and stick with that all the time. So there'll be weeks where I don't do anything like on it, and I'll just constantly kind of be adding things on the to-do list, being like, oh God, there's like so much to do. I don't like balance my commitments very well, definitely when it comes to the pod. Like I want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it feels so important.
Yeah.
But then I very quickly get overwhelmed by how much we could be doing. Like, I don't think people don't want to be like, people just don't see how much we do. But it's like, I could easily spend all day, every day on this. Like,
oh gosh, yeah.
With the emails and the editing.
And that's where it becomes a shame, because it's like, oh, what would we achieve if that happened? But I guess as well, part of it is just being honest that it probably can't be.
Yeah.
And that's also okay.
And it is also part of what makes us so special as a podcast and everything, is that
clang clang
clang clang clang, that it's not a business. We don't have to do advertising and all these kind of business things in the same way. As much as I would love a weekly meeting, that also isn't sustainable or realistic, because we will cancel most weeks.
We also made quite a big decision. Just maybe we're gonna ruin our career here by saying this, but we are very cautious about PR as well now. So if we get a PR pitch, whereas before it's kind of like, oh, this artist is being represented, that must mean that we should interview them.
Yeah.
Actually, you can sacrifice quite a lot of your own creativity through always pandering to pitches and other people's ideas. Not to say that it's completely not useful, because obviously it is. I rely on PR so much in a magazine and stuff, but in terms of this, it's very different. Yeah.
And it is so much work for us to produce even one episode, which, we love, but it then has to mean that we're a bit pickier about who we say yes to, which often I really struggle with. I'm always saying to Hattie, oh, we haven't replied to this person, we haven't replied to this person. And it's like, it's okay, this is, on the surface of things, still a hobby, essentially. It's a very important hobby that we are growing and growing and growing, but, my brother doesn't have to say yes to every tennis match that comes his way.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Although he does, I'm sure.
Yeah, because you can also get into... You're also doing them a disservice, I think, if you don't match.
Yeah.
And I think I need to get better at, not stringing people along and just saying a straight up no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can, I think a lot of people say they'd rather a no than a sort of half-hearted yes that's going to turn into a no.
Yeah. I very easily can just like leave people on red.
Oh yeah, it's my
And-
favourite thing to do.
And be like, oh, sorry for the slow reply again. Like, you know, I'll get back to you. And it's like, we actually don't have any time for this. And that's okay because, you know, you would never expect somebody outside their work hours to give you their out of work hours
No way.
all the time.
No way.
But that's a thing that you feel like you should be giving to people because it's important and because we're very visible and because they clearly have good things to say. Yeah, I'm bad at balancing my commitments, okay? And I'm proud of it.
You're doing a lot better than you think you are, I think.
I am better since
You quit.
giving some teaching up.
Yeah.
That's been a real blessing. And I'm just forcing myself to step out my comfort zone in terms of like calling people and emailing and this kind of stuff.
Oh my god.
It's scary.
I like forced you to answer the phone the other day.
It was very good for me.
Or did you? I forced you to call her.
Yeah, it wasn't even answering. Maybe answering is scarier. I don't know.
Oh, they're both terrifying, honestly. Yeah, answering for me is a lot scarier. I very rarely answer the phone. I normally call someone back because I just find it too.
I never call them back. I just text or email back. My accountant always calls me and I send her an email in reply.
Stop.
Jane.
Everyone knows you have an accountant, Becca. Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Karma.
Yeah.
Shall I ask the next question?
Yes, I reckon this will be our last one. There's 2 to choose from.
Okay. Well, we can do them both very quickly. Any TMDTA events coming up?
No.
That's why I knew it would be quick.
I'd love to do a live show, and we also considered doing like a concert dress swap, like a kind of event maybe in collab with someone. But no,
I think it'll probably be a collab if we did anything soon.
it would be nice.
I'd love to do that.
It's just money.
Or like a
and,
pre-concert talk or something.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
If you have money and would like us to, or don't have to give us.
I was going to say, I don't really mind doing
but
it
like,
for free.
if you want to put an event on, you generally have to have money to do that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll come for free, but
We will come.
yeah. So no, but please help.
But maybe, you
Yeah.
know, I think we're open to it.
Oh no, we'd love to. We just don't have anything planned. We've got tote bags, if that counts, coming.
That makes me feel a bit sad now. I'm like, oh god, yeah, we haven't really got any events.
I would like to do Musicians Injury Awareness Week again this year
Yeah.
in November.
Or maybe we might also do something around Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yes,
in
not
May.
Musicians Mental Health Month, which is apparently this month.
So the next one I really liked, this question, the last question. How to manage adrenaline, not crashing after performances / leading rehearsals. So there's this, like, I'm sure this is the same for any performer. Like once you've done a big performance or a big rehearsal, like even a big interview, there's just a sense of like burnout and crash and you feel your brain is just gone.
Yeah.
Or your body as well is just like not functioning. And you can be in a cyclical relationship with those kinds of feelings. And you know, you can kind of go from one rehearsal to the next and sort of crash out in each one. And I think it feels like a risk to not give your full self at every rehearsal or at every performance.
Yeah.
But I think there's not enough people saying that you don't actually have to. Like, you don't have to be 100%. And maybe that's the kind of toxic side that we have been told. Like, oh, you know, you must be a full... If you commit to the music, that's the most important thing. Go for it. But it's like self-preservation means that you then won't have to cancel when things become too overwhelming. You know?
Rehearsals can be really intense in the lead up
Yeah.
to something, and then if it like is detrimental to the actual performance, like why?
There's a real balance to find between like feeling energized by rehearsing and burning yourself out.
Yeah.
I think string players and pianists are like, because you physically can't go on sometimes.
No, exactly.
That is,
You learn how to pace yourself.
that's,
pretty early
yeah, I
on.
think that's a really positive thing in the brass and wind
Yeah.
kind of world that we just don't have. Like, the toxicity doesn't, you know, it perpetuates this feeling that you have to give everything at every rehearsal, and then after the rehearsal go and practice more and,
Yeah.
you know, keep getting all these hours even if you've been rehearsing all day because they don't count.
Yeah.
And all of this. So I think maybe it's easier for you, or maybe it just means that you have had to accept that you have to rest because your mouth cannot take it.
Yum yum yum.
Yum yum, too much
It's
vibes.
yeah, either that or like because we have more time off, you know, we're often not called for the second movement or something. So then you go to the pub and then like there's all like the social adrenaline or like energy that you got to
That's
manage
true.
a bit better. So yeah, again, especially at the moment where if I go into a rehearsal, it's generally, as a freelancer, you know, it's probably somewhere I haven't been before, or like I haven't played with these people before. So it feels like you do have to give 100% because it's like, you know, I want to make a good impression. I want to be asked back, but it's not sustainable. And even if that's, yeah, not giving 100% to the social situations, or like not giving 100% to the music, whatever it is, you do just have to get to know yourself really well. And, you know, even when you know yourself really well,
We all want to control, don't we?
but also things change from week to week. You know, you might be ill, you might have had other stuff on in the week. You know, a lot of people are running to teaching or from teaching, or your capacity to do things changes all the time from what you thought they were. Yeah, I don't really have any like specific answers, but
No.
I think being open about, I still get it wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Even for pod interviews, I often find that some interviews leave me more drained than I expected.
Totally.
Like the day after our recent workshops that we did, I was out for the count. I was so tired. And I can appreciate that we did 4 hours of workshops after traveling from London to Perth. But it is like that vulnerability hangover that you talk about so eloquently. Like it, you know.
That's not an original from me though. That's Brené Brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like it all changes and it's difficult to know yourself in relation to others and all this stuff.
And also like to know, because I might say, oh, now I've learned how to pace myself, whereas when I was 22 I didn't. But I don't know whether that's just because I didn't have the same support then, or like you just don't know what factors influence feeling sort of adrenaline burnout. Or
and it's an element of I've gotten better at it the more I've learned not to care or not to worry as much about what other people perceive me to like be giving in terms of energy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think for me as well, like having a weekend again. I mean, it's funny though, because like, you could say, oh, I'm breaking up my weekend by coming here. But that's what I mean by really trying not to make TMDTA into a job.
Yeah. It's a Sunday, by the way.
It's a Sunday, sorry, yeah. So I think if this had loads of pressure on it and was like a job, I think this would feel like work. But luckily it doesn't right now. So anyway, committing to having a weekend. And as I said to you and to Stu before we started recording, like I'm always tempted to get my laptop out and to get ahead for the week. But, you know, I've seen my mum, when she was a teacher, she did that and it did not end well. Like I've seen time and time again, it doesn't end well when the lines are blurred too much. So maybe that's also helpful to like have 2 consecutive days off.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It shouldn't be as like big a revelation as it is for freelancers.
Literally. But it is.
Oh, it is.
So that's our show for today. We hope you enjoy our
3 little
shows that we've done. But yeah, thank you to Voices Radio for our 3-show trial.
It's really meant a lot actually to be able to sort of spread our world and conversations beyond the like usually very tight lines of classical music, and actually to remember that these conversations are quite universal.
Completely.
So yeah, we're really grateful to have had this platform.
If you want to find us on the social media, we are at TMDTA Podcast on everything. And if you want to get in touch via email, we are thingsmusiciansdon'ttalkabout@gmail.com. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
See you later.